Greetings. Good day. Alaska. Yeah. Good people, good friends checking in from all over. And thus we begin the day. And today, returning to this theme of the understandings that arise in the meditation as we practice. And that, as I've been saying, may bring a smile to our faces that echoes, that reflects the Buddhist smile as we see in much of the iconography of Buddhist practice around the world. And today, the knowledge that arises is that it's the wise, the noble, those of good heart who engage in this practice. And so want to sort of celebrate the community of practice that support our practice and to which we give our support. Something that arises in the meditation is that this community of practice is wholesome and supportive and helps us as we develop and deepen our practice. So let's sit together in meditation. I'll guide just a little bit this morning. And as we close the eyes, bring our attention inward and downward, connect with the breathing, with the body, perhaps with the weight of the body, the settledness of the body. We can connect too with the simplicity, the slow pace, and the uncomplicated nature of the body's knowing, sensing of experience. Just as a way to, whatever we've been up to so far this day, slowing down, simplifying, and balancing and rebalancing our attention. And as we settle into our own meditative place or space, today we can bring attention to this community of practice that meditates together these mornings. And perhaps feeling the benefit of that support for what is our individual, private practice. Feeling that the experience we meet in our practice, the challenges we feel, and also some of the lightness, the ease that comes with our practice is shared in this community of practice. And that both the challenges we face and the lightness and ease are supported by this community. Sometimes when we meditate together in a physical space, when we open the eyes after we finish a period of meditation, and we look around, and if we're meeting the gaze of others, we may exchange a smile. It's a smile of knowing that comes from the meditation experience, something deep that comes up that knows that this companionship, this camaraderie, this partnership or partnering in the path is wholesome. Sometimes we know very little about our Dharma friends, people with whom we meditate. But what we do know, and a knowledge that arises by itself from the meditation, as per this week's teachings, there's the knowledge that we are facing some of the same challenges, that we're experiencing some of the same ease or peace, and that by doing this together in community, we support one another's practice. So today, the smile that can come up in our meditation with this understanding, I'd like to suggest that we can bask in this glow of what is a shared act of generosity in our practice. We generously give our support to one another by showing up to practice together. And then we open up and receive that support from others. And this can be a knowing that comes up in the meditation. Sometimes it's hard to ask for, sometimes it's difficult to ask for help or support. And in this community, that's part of what we give, is an openness to receiving the support of one another in the path of practice. Anyway, we'll see if you can feel the community today, even if mediated in this thoroughly modern and postmodern way through devices and screens and electrons. Feel other people sitting, other people at ease, other people struggling, other people willing to give time and attention, other people willing to receive. And see if perhaps a gentle inward smile arises. So as we move toward the end of this sitting period, we might reflect again on the beauty of a community that gathers to practice, to support one another, to receive the support of others. We might reflect that in this community practice, we join the Buddha and other awakened ones in the meditation practice. It's a vast community, people who've practiced in these Buddhist traditions, people who seek to see clearly, to open the heart. And it's a knowledge that arises from within the meditation that this goodness that's possible, this ease, this place for the mind to rest, that this is shared by others who orient themselves toward freedom. There's a knowing that arises that this meditation is practiced by people like ourselves who have become aware of a mind or heart that wants to be free. Our acknowledgement of this understanding that arises in the meditation strengthens our own practice and also strengthens the community. And let's end the meditation by committing ourselves to not making it an exclusive community, but one that's inclusive. We don't know where people are on the path. We know that all people like ourselves have their quirks, their idiosyncrasies, their warts, their shortcomings, their failings, their rough edges. And we can expand our care to meet all of them. May all the people in the community of practice, may all the people in the larger community affected by our practice together know some benefit from this goodness of heart, this ease in the mind. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be free. Good morning again, friends. Good afternoon, good day, good evening even, depending on where you are and what salutation is appropriate. Welcome. Today I'd like to continue with the third of the five knowledges that this particular text tells us arise for us in our experience of the meditation. All we need to do is notice that along with the meditation, as we deepen it, there arises an understanding that the pleasure of the meditation is wholesome. That was Monday. That it is good now and good in the future. Yesterday. And today that we have the great fortune of practicing along with others who share a commitment to being freer, being awake or more awake in the world. And the meditation, the smile that arises, the Buddha's smile, is a recognition of the shared experience of the meditation and the act of generosity that brings us together to practice together. So a couple comments on this. And again, I'm just going to reread the text, just with focusing on today's understanding. But I think it's useful to hear the opening encouragement. The encouragement is to develop a meditation that's described as limitless, to deepen the practice, to cultivate great collectedness and great stillness, great ease in the mind. And the text goes on to say that when we do this, as we're alert and mindful, that is, as we pay attention to what's coming up in the meditation, 5 knowledges arise for us personally. And the third of these is that this meditation is practiced by well-meaning, good-hearted people, and that it includes the fully awake and the Buddha. When we immerse ourselves in this community practice, one of the understandings that arises is that we are in good company, with one another, and also with others who've practiced this practice before, including the Buddha. So that when we, as the phrase is, and as I titled this Dharma talk Sunday when I was preparing titles, when we associate with the wise, when we come together with other practitioners, we're in the company too of the Buddha and others who've become fully awake in this practice. We enter what's referred to sometimes in the texts as the Buddha's dwelling. Sometimes practitioners ask, why did the Buddha continue meditating after awakening? And it's an interesting question. Many ways to answer it. But in a sense, once awake, the Buddha's mind is always in this deep meditative state that sees clearly. It's a place where the means and the ends are the same. And that settling into this pleasant abiding of the meditation, as we said in the last couple days, produces good outcomes, helps us in our actions and interactions. And it also keeps us in touch with what it's like to be more awake. It's a way of practicing awakening, practicing being present for our experience in a way that's non-judgmental, isn't filled with projections and attachments, in which the heart, little by little, becomes fully open. It's also said that the Buddha continues to meditate after awakening out of compassion for all beings, that is, as a way to support others on the others on the path. And this, I think, is something that we keep alive when we practice together. This commitment to helping one another in our practices, and by extension, helping all beings. So yeah, this is a lovely community that we practice in. community of people who share some dedication to being more awake in the world, meeting experience with a heart that's always opening more. What could be sweeter, right? Just as sometimes people ask, why did the Buddha keep meditating after awakening? Sometimes asked, why do meditators meditate together? It's kind of a practice we do alone. You know, when we close our eyes or leave our eyes open, when we enter the meditative experience, we're very much in sort of the inner life, as Gil sometimes calls it, attending to what's going on in the realm, the arena of the inner life. And why do this together? Why do it in this fashion, right? Mediated over great distances by devices, screens, and electrons. And today I'm suggesting that we do it as a way, we do it as an act of generosity. And we can receive, which is hard to do sometimes, we can receive that generous impulse from others who practice together with us in this community. There's a fun story that some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with, that helps us understand a little bit what happens when we practice in community, when we benefit from the companionship, the camaraderie of practice on the path, and when we give our share, when we contribute to the support of others in the path of practice. One day, goes the story, and I'm just going to sort of remember it off the top of my head. One day, the Buddha and his longtime attendant, probably a cousin of the Buddha, a man named Ananda, are sitting alone together on a hill overlooking the plains of the Ganges. And Ananda sometimes, on these occasions when he and the Buddha are alone, will share some of his reflections or insights with the Buddha. And Ananda says on this particular occasion something like, "Venerable One, dear teacher, it seems to me, upon consideration, that half of the spiritual life is good friendship, good companionship, good camaraderie-ship, or good comradeship." And I mean, when you speak an insight to the Buddha, you're probably pretty, you're a little cautious in advancing a view of this sort. And so Ananda is probably a little taken back when the Buddha says, "Not so, Ananda. Don't say that." And the Buddha says, far from being something like this, far from being half of the spiritual life, spiritual friendship is the whole of the spiritual life. Good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. And the Buddha means several things by this. From what we understand of the historical Buddha, among the idiosyncrasies we pick up in this personality is the delight in wordplay. And the Buddha is saying here that that this practice in community, this practice with others, he's saying for sure that this is an extraordinarily important part of the practice. And he's also saying that he is that spiritual friend with whom, by extension, we all practice. Ananda, for sure, but also millennia later, ourselves. So when we engage in this community of practice. And part of what brings that smile, that inward smile, something that arises in the meditation with this understanding, is that when we practice together with other people dedicated to awakening, other people dedicated to opening the heart as fully as we can, that we are in the presence of the Buddha. That this meditative experience that we settle into, along with its pleasure, along with its pointing toward its onward leading nature. I had to check what I talked about yesterday. It has this characteristic too of bringing us into the community of millions, hundreds of thousands, many, many, many practitioners over millennia who shared this commitment to the open heart and the free mind. So, by extension, I think we can say the Buddha, the Dhamma, the teachings, and the Sangha all provide spiritual friendship to us. And the meditation, when we enter into it in this way, this third understanding arises naturally from the meditation, that we're in touch with that we're in touch with awakening in the meditation. If we pay attention, we find ourselves in the Buddha's dwelling. We find ourselves deep in the teachings, in the Dharma, where instead of the meditation being a means to an end, it is the end we seek, or the end we seek is within it. There is ease and stillness. There is an open heart there to be cultivated. And we find ourselves in the company of other good-hearted people like those here today, greeting one another from around the world, or quietly, without engaging in the YouTube chat. That's most of us. Quietly enjoying company, quietly being together. And I don't have an ending in mind for today, but what I'm gonna just end with is the memory, probably shared by many of us. I just experienced this over the weekend. I took a drive with my adult daughter, who's 40. And we drove up into the mother lode country of California. I was down for a visit. And, 20 minutes, 25 minutes in it, shoulder to shoulder, winding up the hills, sort of had this realization that we were sitting together in companionate quiet. And this, I think, is how I would characterize what our meditation can be like in community. That sense of complete familiarity with others that's based on some trust or confidence in their company, some sense that even without words spoken, even without conversation, even without participate in the YouTube chat, but also to all of us sitting together quietly, enjoying the company, and noticing in the meditation the goodness of the community, and maybe recognizing again a sense of an inner smile that develops as we recognize that community and its blessing. So thank you. Till tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Bye.